Hey guys, this is ProofWLSWorks, and I am your Wednesday vlogger, Sunny Day, or Ann. And I'm coming at you guys this week with a 10-minute introduction to weight loss surgery video. If I were, speaking to a group of potential weight loss surgery patients or people in the midst of the journey, or you guys, what would I say? So I'm taking an approach of the same approach actually that I took with a coworker of mine who has a morbidly obese son and asked me a number of questions about my surgery because he thinks that this is something his son should do. So I'm going to just pretty much tell you guys exactly what I told him. And the first thing I said to him was, look, this surgery is the last stop on the train. This is an act of desperation, of utter surrender. It is the most loving thing I have ever done for myself, but I had to be at the bottom of the pit to be able to do it. And so when you look at it in those terms, when you look at it as an utter act of desperation, of surrender, it makes it a very different thing to recommend it to someone else. This isn't something you recommend other people. It's just not. It's got to come from your heart. It's got to come from a place of love and for self, and also of desperation, of surrender. And that was the first thing I told him is, I don't think this is something you should recommend to your son. I think you should recommend exercise and healthful eating and maybe investigating different options. But for a parent or someone in a position, especially in a position of authority, to recommend something like that would be really hard, I think, for a child or a sibling or a spouse even, to hear someone else, recommend something like that. So the first part, obviously, my first of 5 is this is surrender. This is laying down your weapons and saying, I can't, and please help me. So that's number 1. Number 2, you got to do it for you. And that comes from this whole surrender thing. It's got to come from you. It can't be something you do for other people or you do because of other people, or it won't work. It's got to be yours. And I've told my husband multiple times during, my own journey, and I'm 9 months in. For those of you that don't know, I've lost 110 pounds. And, I have had to say to my husband on multiple occasions, this is mine, back off. And he loves me, and he loves me so much he wants to help. And sometimes that help, isn't necessary, isn't wanted. I absolutely had to do this myself. I had to do this for myself, and I needed him to just kind of take a step back. And he understands that. He doesn't watch any of my videos. He completely stays out of it, which is good. I needed him to do that. So, that ties into the third point, which is you need to be selfish. I'm sorry, they're showing snow totals that we're going to be getting here in the next day or two, and I'm just trying to keep an eye on it. Anyway, so back to the point, Anne. Number 3, selfish. Be selfish. You have to be able to tell people you love to back off. You have to be able to tell people that you don't like, or that you don't know, or whatever. There are so many odd things people are going to say and do when they find out you've had surgery, or out of love and compassion or whatever. My mom, without fail, every single time tries to feed me pizza when she sees me. I don't know what that is. If it's a test, if it's a whatever, it's, well-meaning people. But I've had to be very selfish about certain things, and I've gone to cookouts and brought my own food. I have, told people that I'm not going to exercise with them, that I need to do this on my own because it was getting distracting. I've had a number of different occasions where I've had to disappoint people. I've had to say no, which is hard for a people pleaser like me. But again, if you've surrendered to this, if you're doing it for yourself, the selfishness, and I call it selfish, but it's really self-love, right? It's knowing what's good for you and being able to say, This is what's good for me. This is not what's good for me. So I'm choosing this one. And I'm sorry you don't necessarily agree or like it or love it or whatever. Um, so that's number three is the ability to say no, to be selfish, to decline, right? Um, and then the last two kind of tie in together, and that's knowing your motivation and knowing your motivator. Um, what do I mean by that? All right, so when I came into this journey, it took me 7 years, actually 7 years, 3 different surgeons, 4 different hospitals. I can't tell you how many tests to finally decide I was going to do this. Um, and really ultimately what pushed me over the edge was hearing a fertility specialist tell my husband and I that we weren't conceiving because of my weight. Um, I had been told this on multiple occasions before, it was PCOS, it's your weight, it's da da da. And so finally, I had tried Weight Watchers, Jazzercise, Nutrisystems, Jenny Craig, everything else, and finally came to the conclusion that, all right, I need to take this weight off because I don't want to hear anymore um, how much I'm not getting pregnant because of my weight. So my big poobah weight loss, motivation is pregnancy. And then my daily motivator is recognition. So understanding the big picture reason you're having this done is huge, and also understanding what keeps you motivated on a daily basis. The motivation for a daily basis is generally going to be something that you can apply to all different aspects of your life. So I know that mine is recognition based on the fact that many eons ago I was in sales, and anytime they would offer cash bonuses, meh. They'd offer vacation and trips and stuff, meh. Oh, but then one year they offered a plaque and a teleconference and you got to be on a poster. I was number one in the region. Thank you very much. I'm motivated by recognition. Knowing that about myself, I know when things get tough, when times get hard, when things get blurry and fuzzy and I'm not really sure what I'm doing, all I need to do is seek out a friend, a family member, a coworker, um, you know, just seek out people, because it's recognition from other people that, wow, you look great, or look how far you've come. And I can provide it for myself as well. I mean, going to a store and trying on clothing and looking at myself in the mirror, that's huge for me too. Any kind of recognition is kind of a touchstone for me. There are people who are motivated by money. Banded Wendy gave an example in one of her last videos that she was a self-pay, and that's something that she keeps going back to and touching on is, I'm writing this check every month. I paid for this out of pocket. I'm not going to screw it up. So that's her touchstone, right? And her big poobah, I think, was something to do with clothing, and she wanted cute clothes that she could wear. So we each have different motivators and motivations, and I think that it's important that we know what those are. And you see how each one of these 5 things kind of stem into each other, and they kind of culminate in the last one, which I don't even count as a thing, and that's commitment. So you start out with a surrender, with a I give up, I can't, I need help, something along those lines, and then that translates into doing this for yourself, doing this out of complete and utter love, pure love, self-love. And that translates even further into being selfish and the ability to tell people maybe something you've never done before in your life, say no, right? The ability to stand up for yourself in any situation and say, no, this is time for me to exercise. No, I'm eating. I used to say to my husband in the beginning, he would try to talk to me while I was eating. And I would say, honey, I can't talk about anything controversial during supper. So if you want to eat with me, that's fine, but I will not be responding. So anyway, so that's the selfish side of things. And then understanding your motivation and your motivator. And if you've got all of that, the commitment side of this is a no-brainer. It just kind of flows out of all the rest of it. And that's basically saying, I commit myself to this. I know that this is a process. I know this is a journey. I know this doesn't have an end. It's like life. It just keeps going until it doesn't anymore. And the doesn't anymore for weight loss is, obviously hitting goal, but even then, you've got to stay at goal. So understanding ahead of time that, like I said in a video on my own channel, you know, there's always a choice. You always have a choice. And what you put in your mouth, whether you exercise, um, whether or not you drink your water, you know, whether or not you say no or take care of yourself. These are all choices we have. And those are choices you're going to have for the rest of your life, whether you have a tiny little pouch or whether you've, you know, blown it up and expanded it back to the size of a football. It doesn't matter. You still have a choice. So that commitment, again, is the final culmination. And I'm right at 10 minutes, so I'm going to call this. That is what I would say to a group of weight loss surgery people. So hope you guys have a good week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.